Welcome to video lecture series on Fortran. In last video, we have seen the what do you mean by identifier and what are the rules for valid identifier. Also, we have seen some example of valid identifier and invalid identifier. In this video, we are going to see variables and type declaration. First of all, we will see what is variable. In the program we have done earlier, we have declared some variable. For example, a is equals to 25. Now in this case, a is variable and 25 is the value assigned to that variable. What it really means? A is equals to 25 means as soon as Fortran will run this row or run this statement, it will create a storage and it will name that storage as A and it will store value 25 into the storage. Now, as we have seen that Fortran have different types of datas. For example, integer, real, complex, character, right? Now, here we can declare the type of data. For example, currently I don't know that A is which type of data, right? Or variable A is which type of data. By default, Fortran will consider A as real, that we will see later in this video, but Fortran will consider that A as real. So A is equals to 25. As soon as Fortran will run A is equals to 25, it will create a data storage of real type and it will store value 25 into that. Right? Now we will see what are the various methods for type declaration. Type declaration means what? We are declaring the variable and we are also declaring their types. Okay, so Fortran supports two types of variables. One is implicit type declaration and another one is explicit type declaration. Okay, now first one is implicit type declaration. Now in implicit type declaration, we are not going to use any statement or we are not going to declare any variable type. What we will do, we will just define the variables. For example, a is equals to 25, average equals to for example a plus b plus c divided by 3, and area is equals to, for example, pi by 4 into d square likewise. But we are not going to define the its type. Now what Fortran will do, Fortran will consider itself that what is the type of variable. For example, if it is a, it will consider it as real. Now how Fortran will come to know whether a is real or not? So in Fortran there is one list, and if variable start with I, J, K, L, M, N, so variable starting with I, J, K, L, M, N will be considered as integer. For example, if there is variable name, say name, number. If there is variable name, say number. So it will be considered as integer type because it is starting with N. For example, there is a variable name mean. Okay, if there is a variable name mean, it will be considered as integer because it is starting with M. And if there is variable name say average, for example avg, it will be considered as real because it is starting with a. So remember, in implicit type declaration there is some default list saved in the Fortran, and according to that, if variable is starting with I, J, K, L, M, N, it will be considered as integer, and other than this character from A to Z, every variable name will be considered as real. Now there is one implicit statement in implicit type declaration. We are still in implicit type declaration and there is one implicit statement. Now what is syntax for implicit statement? It is implicit, then there is type of statement data. Type of data means it can be integer, it can be real, it can be complex, right? And then range list. Range list means, for example, say A to C or P to R likewise. So this is the range. So we can define range. In the same statement we can also define another data type. For example, here I have defined integer, so here I can define real, and I can also add third type here, character or complex, right? So I can add number of types and number of range list. So here is one example. From this example you will come to know. So here example is implicit, then data type is logical, this is the type, this is used as logical. Then after logical it is written M, comma, Q to T, comma, Z. Now what will happen? Any variable starting with M, Q, R, S and T and Z. I will repeat again. Any variable name starting with M, Q, R, S and S, T and Z will considered as logical type of data. Now comma, another, now it is double precision. Double precision means type 2. Now in this case, the range is given A to C. In this case, the range is given A to C, means A, B and C. Now any variable starting with name A, B and C will be considered as double precision, and all other will be considered as real except I, J, K, L, N. Now why there is not M? Because M is already utilized as a logical one. Okay. So again I will repeat here. See, if no implicit statement is used and if variables are declared, the variable name starting with I, J, K, L, M, N will be considered as integer and all other variables will be treated as real variables. Okay. And if implicit statement is used, in this case, for example, we have seen here M, Q, R, S, T will be considered as logical, A, B, C will be considered double precision, I, J, K, L, N will be considered as an integer, and remaining all other characters, all other variable names starting with remaining characters will be considered as real. Now next is explicit type declaration. In explicit type declaration, we explicitly declare the type of variables, and to use this we have to use a statement implicit none as a first statement of the program. Here are some examples. For example, I will write down first statement I will write down the statement implicit none in the program. You might have seen in some of the example before this also. Now the syntax is real v1 comma v2 comma v3. We can also use like this. For example, if it is real, and then we can also give double colon and then write down variable 1 comma variable 2 and so on. So this can be also a syntax, and this we will also work. Okay, so real v1 comma v2 comma v3. Similarly, integer variable 1 to variable 3. Similarly, double precision, complex, logical. Now there is some changes in character because character have some range, and we have to decide the range of the character. So now for character, in square bracket, here it is asterisk s, and then v1, again in square bracket asterisk s1, v2 asterisk s2, v3 asterisk s3. What this s is? This s is the common size. For example, if I given this s20 and I have declared the variable, all the variables will have a maximum size of 20. It cannot store the character more than 20. For example, say if I have given this size as 4 and if I want to save Vishal in it, so it is not possible to save Vishal in it because in Vishal there are VISHAL 6 characters and I have given the storage of only 4 characters, so it is not possible. Okay, so similarly, depending upon our requirement, we will decide the size of this character. Now here are some examples. Say integer, count and item. These are variable names. So count and items are of integer types. IXX and IYY are of real type. Now why this count and items are of integer type? Because count cannot be never 2.2. Okay, it will be always either 2 or 3, means it will be always integer. Similarly, number of items will be always in integer type. It cannot be in real type, and therefore count an item is of integer type. Whereas length, IXX and IYY can be of integer type and it can also be of real type, and therefore we have declared it as real type. Now for example, big values, for example population is there. Population is a big value, and this big value cannot be stored in real, and therefore we will use double precision. Then logical, for example, pass, open, this is the logical type. Then there is character. For example, here in character, and then it is written asterisk 25. Now what does it mean? This is the common size. Means for name, NM, address, ADRS, and CTY, for all three variable, the maximum character size will be 25. Now there is another example here. In this example, character asterisk 25. Then there is name, NM, comma. For address, it is separately defined that the size will be 50, and for CT it is separately defined. But for ST it is not defined, right? So what will be size of ST? Size of ST will be 25. Okay. Similarly, for name it is not defined, therefore size will be 25. Okay. Now we will see one example through which we will try to understand the implicit type declaration and explicit type declaration. So we will open Fortran for this. So now Fortran is open. Now we will start our program with program, and we will name it as type declaration, TD, and then we will end our program. So end program and program name, TD. Now what we will do, first case we will see of implicit type declaration. Okay, so let us write down, take one variable, say a is equals to 2.5, enter. Now take one variable, b is equals to 3.5, and I is equals to 4.5, and j is equals to 5.5. Now we have finished with declaring the variables and assigning them the values. Right, now we will try to print this. So this is the syntax. We will try to print a, comma b, comma I, comma j. Okay, now since my operating system is 64-bit, I will write down a read statement here, and now we will try to run the program. What is expected to us? That it will display 2.5, then 3.5, then 4.5, and then 5.5. Let us try and see. Now you can see here the output is 2.5, 3.5, 4 and 5. What was expected here? 4.5 and 5.5. The reason is that we are trying to store a real number into the integer type. Now why Fortran has considered this I as integer and j as integer? The reason is that this is implicit type declaration. In this type of declaration, any variable starting with character I, j, k, l, m, n is considered as integer, and all other are considered as real, and therefore we got such type of result. So we will correct ourselves here. We will write down here 4 and we will write down here 5, and we will now try to run this, and now we got as it is. Okay, now we will see explicit type declaration. In explicit type declaration, we have to use a statement implicit none. What does this statement do? This statement will tell the Fortran that don't use default setting. Means don't consider that the variables starting with I, j, k, l, m, n are integer. We have to explicitly declare the variable type. Now let us try to run the program. Now I have written here implicit none. Means it will not consider depending upon the character, whether it is real or integer or any type of data. So now we will try to run the program, and there is error. Because this error is because now we have to declare each and every variable in this case. Now we will enter and write down here real, then double colon, and then I will write down a, comma b, comma I, comma j. Now see here, in previous example I and j was considered as integer, but here I have explicitly declared that I and j is of real type, and now you can see in the output we will get as result 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 and 5.5, because we have explicitly declared that I and j is of real type. So now we will try to run the program, and now you can see 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 and 5.5. Similarly, we can convert this a and b into integer. So for that, what we will do, we will delete this a and b from here, and here we will write down integer double column, and in this we will write down a comma b. And now the result will be, since these a and b's are of integer type, result will be 2, 3, 4.5 and 5.5. Now let us try to run the program. Exactly 2, 3, 4.5 and 5.5. So this is what implicit type declaration and explicit type declaration is. Currently most of the programmer use explicit type declaration, means they use implicit none statement in their program. We are also going to use implicit none statement in the program that we are going to see in coming videos. Okay, it means every time we are going to use explicit type declaration, we are not going to use implicit type declaration. Thank you, hope you have understood. In case of any query, please comment in the comment box, subscribe this video and click on the bell icon to get the more updates.